Hi guys, welcome back to our Dutch farmhouse. I am back from my trip to Las Vegas, which if you missed that, I went and visited some family over there. They showed me around the city. It was really, really cool. But now that I'm back, I am a little bit shocked at how big my plants have gotten that are living in the window over there. But I will show you that in a bit, because if you remember the very last video that I did, that one ended where we found out that there were some massive scratches on our newly laid floors, and they actually had to come back and redo it. So a couple of days later, they came back and they sanded off a really big chunk of this floor and then restained it, and now it looks absolutely stunning. And I promised you a little peek of that, so let me show you. It looks beautiful. I'm very, very happy with how it turned out. My furniture is finally back in its place, which makes me very happy. Now, there's a lot more that still needs to happen here in the living room, but I really need to get started on the project outside because my tomatoes are dying. I sowed a couple of things back in February, and that is very early, but usually that works out perfectly fine. The thing is though, we had a very uncharacteristically warm and sunny March and April, so these plants have been sitting here in the window in full sun this entire time, and they have grown really, really big. They are becoming too big for the pots that they're in, so they're starting to look very sad. They really need to go into the ground, but I have no place to put them. So let's get started on our vegetable garden project. I already have a little bit of a plan of the layout of the garden, or at least what I want to grow and where I could grow it. And I made a sketch of that in Procreate. Now, it's a very loose sketch. It is in no way to scale, but I just wanted to kind of plan out what I wanted to do. This is where the house is, and this is the shed on the side of the garden. There is already one big raised bed made of brick on the side of the house. The problem with this is that it's in the shade for most of the day, so I'm gonna have to find some things that grow well without a lot of sunlight. There's one thing that I found incredibly important, and that is this arch right here. It's gonna be a big arch where green beans are gonna grow up against, and it's going to be the entrance into the vegetable garden. I want at least 4 raised beds. I'm thinking about 40 centimeters high, and I want a longer bed on the side that can grow strawberries. I'm gonna build a tunnel for that because birds always eat my strawberries before I can. Now, because this drawing is not to scale at all, and I don't want to run into any surprises later, I made an uglier version of it in Photoshop, which is actually to scale. I will put a picture of it on the screen. And that way I found out that I actually have a little bit more space to work with than I thought. So I could make the beds a little bit bigger. I could also choose to do 4 big beds and 2 smaller ones next to it. But I've actually decided to just start with the 4 big beds and see how that looks before I start building onto it. I think that's the better way to go. Now, before we could start doing anything, we had some serious prep work that needed to be done. This area of our garden was completely overgrown with weeds. It hadn't been used for anything in a very long time, so we had someone come by with the proper machinery to scrape it all off and add some soil onto it. So we had a whole bunch of soil delivered. We used part of it to raise the ground a little bit and level it all out, and then the rest will be left over to use inside of the raised beds.
Hier staat mijn naam en dit is gewoon gras, zeg maar. Dit is een mooi boompje. En hier is zeg maar een ster met een gezichtje. En dit zijn wolken en dit zijn ook in de vette wolken. Dit is een vliegtuigje. En waarom hij blauw is omdat het van KLM is. En ja, dus het is best wel een mooi landschap.
So I roughly drew some lines on the ground where the beds are going to go so that I could kind of feel how much space I would have to walk in between the beds. That way I could also tell if I had enough space on the back, which is very close to the water. I don't want to fall in, so just want to make sure that I have enough space. So now that I know exactly what I want to build, I can go to the hardware store to get all the stuff that we need.
to 10.
That was a lot of wood. It's a good thing that I decided to only build 4 at first because first of all, the hardware store had exactly enough boards for that. And second, I don't think the car would have survived many more. Now these boards are not really meant to be used outside, so I realize that they will probably not last 30 years, but I am confident that they will last long enough for now. And actually, I'm always surprised at how long this type of wood lasts that way. And this wood was expensive enough, so. I made a slight change in the measurements. They will actually be 210 centimeters by 110 because I did have so much extra space. Then I will leave 70 centimeters between the beds for a path, and that will also be wide enough to move a wheelbarrow through the garden, which I figured could be useful. To build the beds, I attached 2 long boards to 2 little posts to make the long sides, and then I set them on the ground and screwed the shorter boards onto the first, using Steven's help to hold things in place, which made it a lot easier, so thank you. And then I did that 3 more times. You're still having fun?
You're filming, and I'm having fun.
Oh, then you're having fun. Steven is mowing the lawn again for me so that I have a lot of mulch to put on top of it later. Well, actually, we just need to mow the grass as well. But instead of having the lawnmower mulch everything in place, he collects it in that, like the bag that comes with it, and then puts it on a pile there for me. But that means that he has to come back every few seconds to empty the bag. So I'm sure he loves doing that. Anyway, I've got 4 beds ready, and they actually look a lot bigger here than when you put them out there where they have to go, which is interesting. So I want to make sure that these beds are pretty straight, like in a nice square, and I'm going to use the side of the water there as a guide. So I'm gonna cut a few of those little sticks so that I can put a wire, mark the edges with a wire so that I know exactly where the beds have to go. Also, what I didn't tell you, if you can see the one at the back, the first one that I did has legs because I made those little poles that all of the wood is attached to longer at the bottom so that I could sink that into the ground. I thought that was a good idea for stability, but after that first one, it is so heavy, it's not gonna go anywhere. So I decided to not do that for the other ones. Ja?
Die vrouw ruimt het niet op, dat is echt zo.
So apparently people walk their dogs here at the front of our garden and they just leave the dog there. So, oh, I'm not allowed to say that. They leave the dog poop there. I think I'm allowed to say that. To get the beds as aligned as possible, I put little sticks in the ground and attached a wire to them. I did this near the water edge, but also where the path into the garden was going to be so that I knew exactly where to put each bed, which I totally thought was a foolproof plan, but not really. I'm running into a little bit of a challenge because I want the beds to look straight. I want them to look like they are perfectly straight, but the area where we sit that is not straight when you compare it to the side of the water here. So we decided to use the water as the base. And so we spun those lines to make sure that everything is straight, and it's not. So I'm very confused. Let's see if I can move this one over here. I think it's okay. Good morning, guys. I actually got pretty far yesterday. So there are 2 beds in their place right now, and 2 of them have been filled almost like half, I think. And what I did is I used the soil from this side of the garden. We left a big chunk of soil here that was higher than this lower part because I wasn't quite sure how far I wanted the garden to come into the space there. So I left it that way, and then yesterday I actually shoveled a lot of that into the beds. So 2 of them are half full, which means I still need to do a lot. I think that's all I'm gonna do today is shovel dirt into garden beds.
myself all night. Leave no part of me unscathed when you rip me. Blow smoke into every little cell. If you won't take what you want from me, I'll be torn, but you won't tell.
When my arms got tired of shoveling dirt, I decided to take a little break by building a simple seat that would fit perfectly between two beds. That way I can sit on it while weeding or harvesting or just to look at my work. So the bed, how'd you even do that? The bed that I need for the tomatoes is ready. So I'm actually going to put them in. I've been procrastinating this for a bit because I'm very afraid that the moment I put them in, they're gonna die. I think this is the best time of the day. Not too cold, it's early, so they can soak up all of the sun the rest of the day. Let's try it out. So we have this gorgeous ivy on the outside of the house. It looks really, really nice. It climbs up all the way up against the house. And we were planning on cutting it down a little bit because it's reaching the gutters and the roof. But what we didn't realize is that it's a little bit worse than we thought. It's literally growing into the house. That's not good. That is definitely not good. So we're definitely gonna have to take it off. And we're actually considering just taking it away completely because this is going to happen again. It grows so fast. Last year in the summer, I had to take it away from the windows because the windows were completely blocked. Okay then, that's fine. It's fine. We'll deal with that. So yesterday, at the end of the day, we had somebody come and cut down the trees that are alongside the water. They're not supposed to be as high as they were. You're supposed to cut them back every 2, maybe 3 years, and it's definitely been 3 years. So they needed to be cut, but they were also blocking a lot of sunlight from the vegetable garden. So he came and cut everything down. So now I can actually keep going. I kind of put things on hold until he came because I didn't want to build anything else that was going to be in his way. The beds that I built now were already in the way. I want to build another bed for the strawberries, and I want to create a path made of wood chips in between everything so that I can walk properly. I also have a couple of other things that need planting. Let's go outside. It's not as sunny today, but it's still good, so. I decided to use wood chips for the path between the beds. It's supposed to reduce weeds and slugs, which was a very serious problem last year, so I hope this helps. Now, funny story, these bags say that 1 bag is good for 2 square meters. So my current theory is that they have taken the wood chips and laid them out on the ground flat, like a little mosaic, to get to that conclusion. But to have a proper layer of wood chips, and that's not even half of the recommended thickness, I needed 3 bags to do 2 square meters. So yes, I will have to go and get about 12 more bags later. But I will do that in my next video. So stay tuned for more wood chips and the building of the arch for the beans and making this whole area look more pretty. For now though, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys!